My name is Tan Borman, and currently I'm stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, here with the Navy.
I am Brooke Evans Boroboon, and Tan is my husband. We've been together since early 2013.
I got an invite from Nick, so I checked the weather. It doesn't look too great, but it was definitely doable. I went, grabbed my bag, and just started building up my kit for spearfishing. So I grabbed all my supplies, got the beacon, put it in my mesh bag, kissed my wife goodbye. Weather's still looking fine in the inlet. We go out, start heading east towards Cape Henry. No white caps. I even sent her a picture of what the sea looks like as we were going out. We checked the buoy for fish. We didn't see anything. And we rolled up to the Chesapeake Light Tower, where we found another boat. They were finishing up. They just limited out recently. So we tied up basically exactly where they were tied up to. And we just went to town and started spearfishing. Everybody, get their fair share of fish. We come up. I limited out. Kyle came up. Everybody start getting tired because current was pretty strong. So Kyle thought like, hey, let's get the boat going so we can go. Just roll upstream, drop a couple divers off, and the boat rolls back and pick them up. But at that point, they start noticing that hey, there's a little bit of water in the back. We're sitting a little low. The weather started getting to start going south at that point, and rollers were getting bigger, more water in the back. And then we just said, we got to get going fast. So Nick jumped off. He went swim over to the tower to cut off the rope. Tyler went out to the front of the boat, cutting the rope off from there as well. As soon as the rope was cut, Kyle went to start the engine, and it wouldn't start. Water started coming in fast at that point. Kyle knows that, all right, we gotta, we're going down. So he went into the cabin with Adam. We started tossing out life-saving gears. I just, in a state of disbelief, like, okay, this is really happening. Right? So I looked down for my mesh bag. That's all I could grab before we rolled over. Pretty much like, it felt like 30 seconds. We didn't have much time. We didn't call Mayday, no time for radio, nothing. Just, like, hey, we're going down. And next thing I know, I had to bail. Went over and hung onto a cooler, found Adam. We all floated back to the boat. So I climbed on the boat and then dug through my bag, get that beacon out, press the activation button. I know that it was flashing, so I know it's sending out the distress signal. I think Justin asked me like, "Hey, what's that?" I just told him like it's small EPIRB. That's how I described it to him. Didn't really have time to explain what a PLB is. I was really confident in because ACR is the brand that a lot of people trusted. A lot of agencies use, so I know that I just didn't buy like a cheap knockoff. I have pretty high confidence that help was coming.
I was actually in the kitchen listening to a podcast, so I hadn't been around my phone in a while, and when I went down into our living room to check it, I saw that I had like 3 missed calls from an unknown number, but I also saw that one of his friends, Sam, had called me 3 or 4 times. So that was a moment I knew something was a little strange. But before I got the chance to call anybody and ask, it rang again, maybe 5 minutes from the first call, and that was the Coast Guard. When I picked up the phone, they just launched right into it, and they said, "This is the Coast Guard, and your husband has activated a life-preserving beacon, and we need to know, do you think this is accidental? Do you know where he is, who he's with?" He just kind of freeze. I didn't have time to ask questions. I just started answering everything I could. But it was an awful feeling because I know something is terribly wrong if the Coast Guard is calling me. But at the same time, there's that relief knowing that Tan was prepared and knowing that by the time I even knew about it, the first thing he says is, no matter what, we're going to go there and we're going to get them. It's going to be okay. Help is already on the way. So that was mixed emotions for sure. So they were asking me if I knew where they were fishing and who they'd be fishing with, what the boat was. The first time I actually stopped to ask a question, I just said, is my husband in the water? Is the water what set off this beacon? And they had told me that they see the beacon and it was moving, it was drifting. Not so fast that they thought a boat was moving, but it looked like, for some reason, that the beacon was drifting with the water. But the incredible thing was they could tell me, they could see how fast it was moving, and they could watch it on their map in real time as it's drifting, so they know down to a matter of feet where these guys are. That was nice to know that they were already in the sky and watching. They told me to stay put for a while until they had answers, which probably ended up being an hour or two. But the first thing he said was, I just need information from you, as much as you can get. So I went down to his computer so I could check his Facebook account, because I know that when I asked him where he was going, he said that he was going with some guys from the spearfishing group. So I posted there, and that group came together within seconds, and people were calling and finding out. And I think Kyle's girlfriend or Tyler's girlfriend, they were the ones to get on there and say, hey, that's his boat. So from there we could piece together how many people were there. And I mean, we only knew of 4. We never knew there were 6 until afterwards. But the Coast Guard was keeping me updated the whole time, and we could hear the distress calls going out, telling people what to look for. We were on the phone pretty much the whole time, and as more information was coming in, I'd call them back and say, hey, a man named Tyler is on board, and hey, the boat is owned by Kyle, and they're fishing with a man named Justin. And of course they wanted to know where they're going. And I said they were supposed to be going to the bridge, but he sent me a picture of nice water, so it's very likely that they went out to the light tower. And they told me that's about where they were seeing it. It was about 16 miles out, so they were going to go there first. Eventually they said, we're out in the area, we're looking for them. And then he came back and said that they found a boat, and there's 4 people with the boat. It looks like they're on top of it, but they couldn't tell me if anybody was okay. If it's them, we assumed it's them. And so then they tell me that they're going to bring people up into the helicopter, but they couldn't tell me who. But that said, when he told me that they had 1 person up in the helicopter, he can't tell me their state or their condition or who it is, but I just kind of knew that it was Tan. Maybe it was something in his voice. And eventually they told me they got 4 people, and then they said they found 2 more. And the only time I knew that everybody was okay was when they said, we have all 6 people in the helicopter. The only person I can say is the boat owner, Kyle McKenzie. But I know if Kyle's okay, they have everybody. And finally, when the helicopter touched down, that's when he called and he said, hey, you can go here to pick up your husband. He's perfectly fine, a little cold, a little shaken. So I drove down there as fast as I could to go pick him up. I contacted all the family members, that way everybody had someone waiting there for him shortly after.
Just be aware of where you are, know your equipment. Having a way to communicate, even if it's just a beacon, that's your last resort, you gotta always have that.
I think it's really important for the guys to say where they're going and who they're with, of course, but also when you're going to be back. Because these guys are out fishing all the time, sunrise to sunset, and we would not have known. We wouldn't have raised any alarm bells until well after dark. They're out fishing till dark all the time. It wouldn't be until maybe 9 or 10 p.m. that the other girls and I would start asking where they are. And by then we don't know if they would still be on that boat or where the boat would be. That was pretty scary. So where you are it's important. And the beacon, of course. You have to have the beacon. The best couple $100 he ever spent. And it's an essential piece of equipment. It should be. You have to have this. when it came down to it, they bought their second chance at life.
You can't put a price on that.
Mm-hmm.